morning. Welcome back. We're on chapter 17 and 18 today. Shall we find out why Bert is in Zoe's bedroom? I'm intrigued. Are you? Let's find out then. I smell a rat, wheezed Bert. Except it wasn't Bert. Well, it was Bert, but he had drawn a moustache on his face very poorly with a black marker pen. What on earth are you doing here? Said Zoe. And why have you got a moustache drawn on your face? It's a real moustache, my dear, said Bert. He breathed heavily while he spoke. His voice matched his face. They had both stepped out of a horror film. No, it's not. You've drawn it on. No, I haven't. Yes, you have, Bert. My name's not Bert, child. I'm Bert's twin brother. What's your name then? Bert thought for a moment. Bert. Your mum had twins and called them both Bert? We were very poor and we couldn't afford a name each. Just get out of my room, you creep. All of a sudden, Zoe heard her stepmother pound along the corridor. Don't you dare speak to the nice pest control man like that, she screeched as she waddled into the room. He's not the pest control man. He sells burgers, protested Zoe. Bert stood between them with a smirk on his face. It was impossible to see what his eyes were doing because of his wraparound sunglasses that were black as the deepest, darkest oil. What you talking about, you stupid girl? He catches rats, said her stepmother. Don't ya? Bert nodded silently and smiled, flashing his ill-fitting false teeth. The little girl grabbed her stepmother by her thick tattooed forearm and led her to the window. Look at his van, she declared. Tell me what he's written on the side. Sheila looked out of the grimy window to the vehicles parked down below. Bert's Pest Control, she read. What? Said Zoe. She wiped some of the smudges off the window and peered out. The woman was right. It did say that. How was this possible? It looked like the same van. Zoe looked over at Bert. His smirk had widened. As she watched, he took a dirty little brown paper bag out of his pocket and picked something out of it. Zoe could have sworn whatever he put in his mouth was moving. Could it have been a cockroach? Was this the depraved man's idea of a snack? See, said Bert, I'm a rat catcher. Oh, whatever, said Zoe. She turned to her stepmother. Even if he is, which he isn't because he's a burger van man, why is he in my bedroom? She demanded. He's here because he heard at school that you brought a rat into your lessons, replied her stepmother. It's a lie, said Zoe, lying. Then why did I get a call from your headmaster today? Eh? Answer me. Told me everything. You disgusting little girl. I don't want any trouble, my dear, said Bert. Just hand over the little creature. He held out his grubby and gnarled hand. Bert had a dirty old cage on the floor by his feet that looked like it was made from a metal basket from a deep fat fryer. Only instead of using it to fry chips, he had squashed hundreds and hundreds of rats into it. At first glance, Zoe thought the rats were dead, as they weren't moving. On closer inspection, she realised that they were alive. It was just they were packed in so tightly they could hardly move. Many looked like they could hardly breathe either. They were so squashed together. It was a sickening sight, and Zoe wanted to cry at the shocking cruelty of it. Just then, Zoe felt Armitage wriggling in her breast pocket. Perhaps he could smell the fear. The little girl discreetly brought her hand up to her breast to hide the wriggles. Her mind was racing with potential lies before she arrived at one. "I set him free," she said. "The headmaster is right. I did bring a rat into school, but I set him free in the park. Just ask Raj. He told me to do it. You should go and look for the rat in the park," she added, suddenly cupping Armitage through her blazer pocket as the little rodent was squirming crazily now. There was a deathly pause. Then Bert sneered. "You're lying, my dear." "I'm not," said Zoe, a little too quickly. "Don't lie to the nice man," said Sheila. "We can't have another filthy disease-ridden creature running around the flat." "I'm not lying," protested Zoe. "I can smell it," said the vile man, his vile nose twitching. "I can smell a rat from miles away." Bert sniffed the air, then wheezed. "Baby ones smell especially sweet." He licked his lips, and Zoe shuddered. "There's no rat in here," said Zoe. "Hand it over," said Bert. "Then I'll give it a quick whack with his special tech rodent stunner." He produced a bloody mallet from his back pocket. "It's painless, really. They don't feel a thing." "Then he can join his friends for a nice play in here." Bert indicated the cage by kicking it hard with the heel of his dirty boot. Zoe was horrified, but composed herself before she spoke. "You are quite wrong, I'm afraid. There is no rat in here. If it comes back, we will of course call you immediately. Thank you." "Hand it over now," wheezed the sinister man. Meanwhile, Sheila was studying the stepdaughter she loathed intently and noticed the awkward positioning of her left hand. "You vile creature," accused the woman as she yanked her stepdaughter's hand away. "It's in her blazer." "Madam, you hold her down," directed Bert. "I can whack the rat through the cloth. There'll be less blood on the carpet that way." "No!" screamed Zoe. She tried to wrestle her arm away from her stepmother, but the woman was a lot bigger and stronger than her stepdaughter. The little girl lost her balance and crashed to the floor. Armitage wriggled out of the pocket and started scurrying across the carpet. "Ah!" screamed the stepmother. "Get it away from me!" "Trust me, it won't feel a thing," wheezed Bert, as he got down on his hands and knees, brandishing the bloody mallet. His nose twitched as he chased the rat around the room, whacking the implement on the floor, missing Armitage by millimetres. "Stop!" screamed Zoe. "You'll kill him!" She tried to make a charge at the man, but her stepmother held her back by her arms. "Come here, you little beauty," whispered Bert, as he brought the mallet crashing down repeatedly onto the dusty carpet, plumes of ingrained dirt now exploding into the air with every thwack. Armitage scurried this way and that, trying desperately to avoid being whacked. The mallet walloped down, just catching his tail. "Eek!" squealed the rat in pain, and he dashed off to hide under Zoe's bed. This did not deter Bert, who, without taking off his dark glasses, got down onto his belly and slithered under the bed like a snake, flailing his mallet wildly from side to side. Zoe writhed out of her stepmother's grasp and launched herself onto the man's back as soon as he appeared from under the bed. The little girl had never hit anyone before, but now she had leapt astride his back like a cowboy on a bull at an American rodeo, thumping his shoulders with all her might. Within seconds, her stepmother yanked her off by her hair and pinned her against the wall. before Bert disappeared under the bed again. Zoe, no, you're an animal, you hear me? An animal! Screamed the woman. Zoe had never seen her stepmother so uncontrollably angry. Muffled under the bed, Zoe could hear thud after thud of the mallet crashing down on the carpet. Tears were streaming down the little girl's face. She couldn't believe her beloved friend was going to meet such a violent end. Thwack! And then there was silence. Bert wriggled out from under the bed. Exhausted, he sat on the floor. In one hand he held the bloody mallet. Between his fingers of his other hand he held a lifeless Armitage, dangling by his tail before announcing triumphantly, "Gotcha!" Chapter 18. Pulverisation. Prawn cocktail crisp, offered Sheila to the man. Don't mind if I do, Bert replied. Just one. Sorry. So, what happens to all the rats? Continued Sheila in her posh's voice as she showed Bert to the door. Zoe was sitting crying on her bed. Her stepmother was so appalled by Zoe's behaviour she had locked her in the room. As much as Zoe rattled the handle and banged the door, it wouldn't move. The little girl was utterly broken. There was nothing to do but weep. She listened to her stepmother show the repulsive man out. Well, I tell the kiddies, replied Bert in a tone that was meant to be reassuring but actually sounded disturbing, that they all go to special hotels for rats. Sheila laughed. And do they believe you? Yes, the little fools think they get to frolic outdoors in the sunshine before relaxing in the spa area, having massages and facials and the like. But really, whispered Sheila, I pulverise them in my special pulverising machine. Sheila let out a gurgling laugh. Is it painful? Very. Good. Do you stamp on them? No. Oh, I'd stamp on them and pulverise them. Then they'd suffer twice as much. I must try that, missus. Oh, just call me Sheila. Another prawn cocktail crisp? Oh, yes, please. Just one. Sorry, such a delicate flavour, mused Bert. Exactly. I like the real prawn cocktail. I dunno how they do it. Have you ever had a real prawn cocktail? Nah, replied the woman, but I don't need to. They taste just the same as the crisps. But of course, madam, if you don't mind me saying, you're an extremely beautiful woman. I'd love to take you out for dinner tonight. Oh, you naughty man, flirted Zoe's stepmother. Then I can treat you to one of my very special burgers. Oh, yes, please. The horrific woman added another sickening, girly laugh at the end. Zoe couldn't believe her stepmother was actually flirting so outrageously with this loathsome individual. Just me and you and all the burgers we can stuff into our gobs, mused Bert. Oh, how romantic, whispered Sheila. Until later, my princess. Zoe heard the door close and her stepmother thunder back along the corridor to her daughter's bedroom before unlocking the door. You're in such trouble, young lady, said Sheila. She must have kissed Bert goodbye because she now had black marker pen above her lip. I don't care, said Zoe. All I care about is Armitage. I have to save him. Who's Armitage? He's the rat. Why would you call a rat that? Asked the woman, incredulous. It's a very long story. Well, it's a completely stupid name for a rat. What would you call him? Sheila thought for a long while. Well, asked Zoe. I'm thinking. A long silence followed, during which Sheila looked like she was concentrating very hard. Finally, she said, Ratty. A bit unoriginal, muttered Zoe. That made her stepmother even more furious. You're evil. Do you know that, young lady? Evil. I've got a good mind to throw you out of the door onto the street. How could you attack that lovely man? Lovely? He's a rat murderer. No, no, no. They all go to a special rat sanctuary and have spa treatments. Do you think that I'm completely stupid? He kills them. He doesn't stamp on them, though. They're just pulverised. Shame, really. That's monstrous. Who cares? One less rat. No, I have to save my little Armitage. I have to. Zoe stood up and headed for the door. Her stepmother pressed her firmly back down onto the bed with her considerable weight. You're not going anywhere, said the woman. You're grounded, you hear me? Grounded. Grounded. There's a U in grounded, said Zoe. No, there isn't. Sheila was really angry now. You ain't leaving this room till I say so. You can sit in here and think about what you've done. And rot. Wait till Dad gets home. What's that useless git gonna do? Zoe's eyes stung. Dad might have fallen on hard times, but he was still her father. Don't you dare talk about him like that. All he's good for is his benefit money and a roof over me head. I'll tell him you said that. He knows already. I tell him every night, snorted the gruesome lady with a guttural laugh. He loves me. He won't let you treat me like this, protested Zoe. If he loves you so much, why does he spend his whole life down to boozer? Zoe fell silent. She didn't have an answer to that. The words broke her heart into millions of tiny pieces. Ha! Said the woman. With that, Sheila slammed the door shut and locked it behind her. Zoe rushed to the window and peered down at the road. She had a pretty good view of it, with being on the 37th floor in the crumbling tower block. In the distance, she could see Bert speeding off in his van. He wasn't much of a driver. She watched as he knocked off a few car wing mirrors and nearly ran over an old lady before the van zoomed out of view. Outside, the sky grew dark, but thousands of streetlights in the town lit up the outside world. They bathed her room in an ugly orange glow that could never be turned off. Late into the evening, Dad finally returned from the pub. There was shouting between him and Sheila, as there always was, and the slamming of doors. Dad never came into Zoe's bedroom to see her. Most likely he'd fallen asleep on the sofa before he'd had the chance. Night came and went without sleep for Zoe. Her head was spinning and her heart was aching. In the morning she heard her dad go out, presumably to wait for the pub to open, and her stepmother turn on the TV. Zoe banged and banged on the door, but her stepmother would not let her out. I'm a prisoner, thought Zoe. She lay back down on her bed in despair, thirsty, hungry, and desperately needing a wee. Now, what do prisoners do? She asked herself. They try to escape. Oh my goodness. I can't believe how much has happened in those two chapters. Poor Zoe. I wonder what plan she's got now to escape, and I really hope Armitage is okay and doesn't get pulverised. There were some great words in those two chapters again today. The words that I picked out that I'd heard, but I didn't know what some of them meant, were guttural, writhed, and sneered. So maybe we can magpie some of these words in our own writing. So have a look to see what they mean. So it's guttural, writhed and sneered. Have a look to see what they mean, and I'll put a little sheet together later in the week to tell you what they all mean. I don't know whether I enjoyed those 2 chapters. They were a bit sad and a bit gruesome really, but hopefully Zoe will find a way of escaping. We'll find out tomorrow when we read chapter 19 and 20, and chapter 19 is called The Great Escape, so hopefully that gives us a little bit of hope that Zoe gets out. Enjoy the rest of your day and crack on with all your activities on Doodle, and I'll see you again for more tomorrow. Bye everyone.